Everybody, welcome back to KeyKeyTalks. I'm your host, Keone Tupuola, and I'm so excited for this one. I know it feels like it's been a minute since I've recorded and at least kind of just talked and let out what was going on and what's been on my head. But um, I am currently back in Philadelphia now. I know that was sort of expressed the last time we talked, which the last time we talked was about a week and a half ago. Because usually I try to do the recordings for the videos um, the week before it drops, and so usually I have my notes that I keep for the week, a little journaling, and I've kept this one. I've had it, and just this week was crazy. This week was very hectic, and hopefully, yes, bear with me through this one. This one was a absolute doozy of a week. I hope I never have to repeat it, but um, that's for this week. So in next week's episode, you guys will find out what has happened and why this week was what it was. But I digress. Let's talk about last week. This is for the week of 525 and kind of my thoughts, any little thing that I was bringing in today's episode. Um, all I know is I'm just excited to be here. I was extremely excited and stoked just to see the engagement on the last video like this that we made, which is really reassuring, honestly, because when I first started this, I was mostly doing this for my benefit, for something that I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed talking, and I wasn't really sure how it would be viewed, especially being mixed in on the content with me regarding opening Pokemon packs and doing Pokemon stuff. And so I wasn't sure the engagement on it, but I was thoroughly enjoying seeing everybody's comments, seeing people that haven't commented. Shout out my boy Noah in a minute, and just kind of the positive outlook on it. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate the engagement. I appreciate you guys leaving a like, leaving your comments and thoughts from that video. And again, that's all I ask. Leave a like, leave a comment down below what you guys are enjoying, what, from this type of content, what's a relief, what's good about it, what's bad about it. Let me know in the comments. I'm open ears, open to every single one of your guys' thoughts. And so, again, nothing but love, nothing but appreciation for you guys. And so, I kind of wanted to start out with how my week was, how it started. So last week was Memorial Day, or at least the week prior, and I remember in the video that I dropped, I had talked about me going to see Al and Collector's Habit. I don't know if I name dropped Collector's Habit specifically in that one, but I knew we were planning on meeting him, and he was going to do a face drop on Al's stream, which that was such an incredible stream. It was super fun. We ended up streaming 3 times in 2 days, and it was. I'm very impressed. I remember Collector's Habit and I were sitting in the back, and he looks over at me. He's like, "This is super impressive with how his setup was put together." He's on a single laptop, and his production's incredible. A lot of engagements, a lot of people popping in, showing love, and I know we were both just very impressed with it. And so it was fun being in AOB's lair, so to say, and it was fun being able to rip packs. Obviously, it's Destin Rivals. That was the big drop last week, and it was fun opening and being able to do a full case break on top of just doing random stuff in stream. And so it was hectic getting there. Obviously, I left Utah on Friday at about 2 in the morning, and I drove about 7 hours. I took a quick nap on the side of the road in Wyoming, and then I ended up driving the last 10 hours down to Al's house. And so on my way down there, I had heard, unfortunately, some unexpected news where I would need to find a new place to stay for the time being, which is what it is. And in that process, I I had just continued driving down. I stayed KC, but before we get to Kansas City, I wanted to talk about uh, Monday, like I said. So that Monday prior, we went and watched the new Lilo and Stitch movie. So obviously, I have a little more. I feel like ties towards the Lilo and Stitch movie, mostly being Polynesian, being something that is representative of me, of my culture, and it's just really neat seeing any Polynesian um, in any capacity be kind of a light or like a guide to others all around the world. And so I always, and I know other Polynesians probably feel this way, but it just makes you feel real proud of your culture when you see like little like people that either come big or you see little things in the community like they make a movie about it. And so that was really inspiring. I know there was a lot of controversial thoughts about Lilo and Stitch. Personally, I loved it. I thought it was really fun, really cute. Um, I, it always stresses you out seeing a live action movie. You never are sure how they're gonna portray it. I feel like the actors and actresses in it were incredible. Um, I left the movie rating it a 9 out of 10. I did say I posted on my story, and this is on my regular Instagram account where I posted. I said committing to UC San Diego. So if you guys have seen the movie, obviously you guys know the reason why. Well, a little crush there, but it was. I know it was controversial because um, everybody was like, "Well, Nani left." Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! If anybody hasn't seen the original Disney movie or the live action, skip ahead probably 2 minutes. Um, anyway, everybody was upset that Nani left Lilo with CPS. But I think it was such a minor part in both the regular Disney movies um, and this movie that I don't think it should be taken into account personally. But like I can see how like obviously you want to keep your family together. You want to, yeah, it is what it is. Like I'm not gonna judge in any capacity, but I think the over scheming theme of the movie was kind of lost because of that last action. Well, last action that Nani took. But I digress. I think if you not necessarily ignore it, but understand where she's coming from, being she's just graduated high school, she's trying to live her life as a young adult, responsible of a younger sister, and I think she did a great job, all things considered. And I think that goes to show, I feel like Polynesian culture to a T where there's so much sacrifice that goes into everything that sometimes you lose yourself in the process and have a tendency to put your ambitions and goals in the back burner. And I just think it obviously depends on you and how you go about your business, but it's it's always a good reminder to try to be better, try to improve yourself despite your culture, because you improving yourself and being better in that regard is only going to make your culture better. It's only going to be reflective of you and your culture. So that's my 2 cents on it. And again, I love the movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10 when I left. Um, it's really nice being able to see different locations and spots in Hawaii that are familiar and just feels like home and is a big part of my childhood. I spent a lot of winters and breaks going back to Hawaii, seeing my family over there, and so um, yeah, it was just a nice, great representation of being able to see that. So, and that transitions into Memorial Day. What else do we do? One of the big things that we did on Memorial Day as well was we we went on this hike, and it's been a minute since I've gone on hikes, but if anybody knows Utah, look it up. If you don't, just look up Utah mountains. And when you Google Utah mountains, it's gonna pop up with some of the most insane, some of the most beautiful scenes that you'll ever see ever. And to a T, that is pretty accurate to where I live. And right outside my back door, probably a mile away, mountains start, and you can pretty much start climbing. Um, Obviously not climbing. We took a little trail, but there are a lot of people that do pretty high risk, high adventurous mountain climbing in our area. It's pretty popular. But we went on about a 5 mile hike, 6 mile hike. Uh, my dog Nike, you can see her sit back there. She was a trooper. She absolutely loved it. The part of the area we were at, it allowed dogs to be off leash, and she was just trotting along. We're going uphill, and she's just about 5-10 minutes ahead, not 5-10 minutes ahead of us, probably about 10 seconds ahead of us. And she'd run ahead, then turn back, run back, and be like, all right, you guys coming, type of thing. And it was just cool seeing her in that element, because sometimes being in Philly, especially, we're a little city locked. And so seeing her be out in that type of element, just seeing her happy, I mean, you can't blame me. I love it. I love to see her happy, and I love to see her being able to be a dog and enjoy herself. And it's one of the greatest things. And I can only imagine that's what people feel about having kids and having a family. Just the joy you look at those that you're molding and helping like grow and become individuals, and just imagining and seeing their success and just being happy through their success. Like on a minor level, obviously, she's a dog, but I feel the same way on a very like minor scale. So it was pretty rewarding to see that this last week. And so uh, then later that night, or I guess it was a few nights later, my brothers and I were having a big campfire just over at our grandparents' house, and it was a really neat bonding experience because our brothers are heading into their senior year of high school. They, it's they've done their time waiting. They've done their time through lifting and improving themselves, prepare themselves for their senior year. And I remember we were sitting outside and we're just sitting around this campfire, kind of reflecting and talking about life. And they asked me just questions about my senior year, about things that I wish I did do, things I wish I didn't do, and just things that they were excited for. And it was really cool. Like, it was a really neat bonding experience because, like, the age gap between myself and my brothers is about 10 years. So, for that perspective, it's been about 10 years since I've been in high school, which was kind of crazy to think about. I mean, I don't feel that much older than them, but then they look at me like I'm ancient, and it was really cool to kind of grow closer with them ever since I was home too, because just with our age gap, we have the closest bond per se. Like, we've always been homies, but it was really cool being able to see them out of their element and just vibing out, and pretty much just being like any of my homeboys, where like I can see myself just hanging out with them casually. And so that was really fun to see. And one of the conversations that we had, and I wanted to share this out with you guys, and I want you guys to let me know down in the comments your favorite. But one of the topics of conversation was, what are the 4 albums, if you're on a deserted island, that you would listen to for the rest of your life? And for me, my thought process heading into it was, what is music that I connect to on a like listening to the lyrics, listening to the vibes, like what can I live without? Like, what do I relate to? What do I put on when I hop into a car? Two, it's like, what's the vibe of the song? Is it like hardcore rap? Is it hardcore metal? Is it like easygoing, chill R&B vibes? You know, like, well, what are you going for? Are you trying to keep everything the same, or are you trying to diversify so that way, if you are stuck, what are you gonna do? You know. And then the other one was nostalgic factor, and something that like when it does come on, I'm like, okay, I gotta listen to the whole thing through and through. And my music's changed a lot. My music's changed a lot, especially in the last year to like 6 months. I would say what I used to love and what I used to enjoy has changed quite a bit. And so the four albums that I chose and that I um, would listen to for the rest of my life, 5 Second on a Deserted Island, is one. It's There's Really a Wolf by Russ. So many people know Russ is my favorite artist. He's born and raised out in Georgia, but he's a little small town, like a little small town artist. Uh, he's just he's one of those artists that I've always loved the way his voice sounds, and um, it's like a combination between rap and R&B. But I've always enjoyed his R&B stuff more than his rap, and it's always something where I can just kick back and just throw it on, and it always either takes me back to high school, or it takes me back to a happy time, or it takes me back to just when life is good and life is chilling, you know, because I think life gets way too busy. Life gets way too busy, and you need an out sometimes. And Russ's music has always been that way for me. And one of my favorite songs from the album that I'm going to include is Right Slow. Right Slow is always just the vibe of it, you know, just kick back. It's one of my favorite songs, one of my go-to songs when I listen to Russ. Second album, and I can give shout out to one of my homeboys, Mitchell, back in high school. Uh, I think it was him or his brother that put me onto this artist. But this artist is one of my favorites. Listen to him consistently. It's Kid Cudi, and the album is "Man on the Moon, the End Day," or it's the iconic one with the orange and purple with his face on it. It's the first one, I believe. And album is absolutely incredible. I think this might be my favorite album ever, and that's just something. But again, I just love the slow vibes of all the songs on this one. And I think for me, my favorite song from this album is either Heart of a Lion or Soundtrack to My Life. Uh, just two songs that I don't know if I necessarily relate to a lot, but it's just they're always pick me up songs. They're always like I'm a vibe out. This feels good, you know. And so I enjoyed his album. I always can. It's always a little guilty pleasure that I can throw on and listen to. Album number 3, and this is where I've been going back and forth. This is the biggest one because the album I chose is Born and Raised by Fiji, which shout out Uncle Fiji, you know. He's a reggae artist, and his songs are all upbeat. They're all very positive. Still kickback songs still, but like very positive, very upbeat. And I mean, I love his music. But it's a toss up between Backyard Boogie or Hear Me Roar by J Bug. Those other two albums. And it's always a toss up. It's always going to rotate between those. But I think ultimately, I chose this album just because it's been on repeat a lot more. It's been on something that I've kind of felt a little more inspired by. But my favorite song from this one is either Sharing the Night or Sweet Darling. Sweet Darling is always a song that I sing at the top of my lungs, and I can't not do it because it's incredible every single time I listen to it. And so that's my third album. And then my fourth one, I might get a lot of flack for this one. I might get it because I'm gonna say it, I'm a big Kendrick fan. I love Kendrick Lamar. We went to his concert last month. Absolutely incredible. Him and SZA were phenomenal performers. I love To Pimp a Butterfly. I love I gotta look it up. I can picture it. Poetic Justice. Love his music. And GNX is crazy. That one's super great. But ultimately, I am a Drizzy fan, big Drake fan. And the album I chose from Drake, which is gonna get absolutely torched because I personally don't even know if this is his favorite. I don't think it's his favorite, honestly. But it's probably my favorite because of when I enjoyed it and when I listened to it. It's If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Absolute bangers. Absolute bangers. And the reason why this came out when I was in my junior year of high school, junior, senior year, that little transition, and I had this on repeat. This was all I listened to. This was my favorite time period where I was just, I just rocking out, just listening to, this album. But my favorite song from this album, it goes between like Energy, 10 Bands, Know Yourself, Six God. I have nothing but just like fond memories, and that's all this one is. This was just nostalgic factor. So, to recap, it was There's Really a Wolf by Russ, Man on the Moon by Kid Cudi, Day in Life by EG, and then If You're Reading This, It's Too Late by Drake. Those are my 4 albums that I personally would listen to for the rest of my life. And yes, it's subject to change. As you go older, as you go through different things, life changes you a little bit, and your music changes. But at this current moment in time, those are my 4. And let me know what you guys would do as your 4. Because I'm intrigued. I like to be put on the new music. I'm not a gatekeeper. And I listen to a lot of music, and I'm always down to hear what you guys have to say. So let me know down in the comments. But speaking of music, I obviously listen to a lot of music on that 17-hour drive. And obviously a few of those albums, a few of those songs I mentioned were songs I listened to there. But I will say it was super fun being in Kansas City once I got there. So we got there probably Friday night at about 8 p.m. And I remember reaching out to Al, and Al was like, all right, pull up, and it was super nice. He ended up grabbing some Polynesian food, some Hawaiian food from a local restaurant, and we had some teriyaki chicken and some mac salad, which absolute bomb. Super great place. And then we ended up doing a quick little stream that I honestly don't remember what we did. I think we opened a few packs. I think the biggest thing I need to know is what had happened prior to seeing Al that night. So when I was driving, I made it a goal to stop at every single Walmart on the way through. That was just right off the road, just to see if they had product. Heaven forbid. I look for product too. And first Walmart I stopped at, it's in Nebraska, fresh restock. When I tell you, I had no idea that was a real thing. And there's ETBs of Destin Rivals. There's the sleeves of Destin Rivals. They have the mini tins of 151. They had lunch boxes of the Silver Tempest that could have been God packs. Just absolutely crazy the amount of stuff that we've seen when I was there. So I ended up calling Habit, and said, hey, should we get some stuff for the stream? And we ended up grabbing some stuff, which, all the stuff we opened was for, at least I opened, was either given away or obviously for my personal collection. And I will say I felt like such a scalper with the amount of stuff I bought. That said, there was still a lot of product I left for other people. I didn't clear it out. I didn't take everything, but I did feel like a scalper. And I said, holy cow, this is crazy. Because I've never been in that situation before. And I never, I didn't know what to do with myself. But I can't feel super bad at the end of the day because I did take everything. But I did take some stuff. I did take stuff for Al, and I did take stuff for Habit, which I think they all opened as well, or they're giving away to their community. So, like, do I feel a little bad that maybe somebody else wasn't able to get it? Maybe, but there was nobody else at that Walmart. Nobody was waiting in line. It was in the most random, obscure place. I'm sure it was going to get hit eventually. But yeah, absolutely crazy. I've never seen a restock like this. This was crazy, and I was just stoked that I was able to get some. Just because it's really saying. I mean, as Pokemon fans, obviously one of the big things is opening product for that set on the day it comes out. And I was lucky enough to be in a situation that I was able to. And shout out Habit, shout out Al for it. And so we ended up streaming that night with Al. And then we ended up going to like Chicken and Pickle, and then just driving around downtown. Just he was showing me some spots, and it was super cool. I think Kansas City is super fun. There's a lot to do. It's more spread out than I thought, and what I'm used to, because obviously being out here in Philly, everything's stacked right on top of each other. They're pretty spread out. Reminded me of being out in Texas, and so that was pretty fun. And then the next day we woke up, we went to breakfast, and then after breakfast, we ran to a card shop, which one of Al's friends owns. We were there for a little bit, and then we're like, oh crap, we gotta go stream. But we didn't get everything we needed. Like we were gonna do the mousetrap and a pie to the face and one of the mouth games, and we dropped the ball just because. I mean, it was fun. It was cool. It was cool hanging out, cool vibing out. And we ended up, pushing our stream back 2 hours later. And then that one was really fun. We opened up mostly Dust and Rivals, gave that away. But the biggest thing we opened up some Generations just to end stream off. And when we did it, I opened a pack, the Charizard pack artwork, and it didn't have anything crazy in it. All right, whatever, Habit comes in with the Pikachu artwork, and he pulls a Sylveon full art, which that's one of my chases. I've been looking for that card forever, and it's funny because we pulled the Sylveon EX, this other Radiant Collection one, twice, and so pulling that one just to follow it up, absolutely crazy. That was fun. I was really glad that we were able to get a hit out of it. And then afterwards, we went to this barbecue spot in Kansas City because Kansas City is self-proclaimed the best spot to get barbecue. And you know what? I can't argue with it. It was delicious. It was fantastic. I'm just trying to remember it off the top of my head. I've gotten sausage, I've gotten ribs, and I've gotten brisket and banana pudding. And the brisket might have been the best brisket I've ever had. And I think it was just how it was made. I think it was incredible because what they did was they took the brisket and they made it into really thin pieces. But they chopped it up really thin. And it was super tender, but super juicy still. And it was, I think, the best brisket I've ever had. And normally I don't get brisket because I'm not a fan of how I get it in a lot of places. And then they let me try some of their burnt ends or burnt tips or something. I think it's burnt ends. Burnt tips is kind of crazy. Pause. Anyway, so then we had Kansas City barbecue, and then we ran right back, and we ended up, doing the third stream of the night where we opened up Dust and Rivals. And in the middle of the opening, Al's sister ended up showing up, and so I was ripping. Oh, I forgot whose box I ended up starting. Just while Al was talking with his sister, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of funny." I'm streaming on Al's setup. I was like, maybe I should ask Al to be my employer. Be under that little payroll pyramid. So, but no, it was a very fun weekend. This week was very fun, but it was very hectic. As I had said, I had to find a new place to stay. We just moved in. We're still missing quite a bit of furniture, and yeah. So obviously, if you guys want to know how this all went, stay tuned for next week's episode where we will be dropping it and keeping you guys in the loop on the little ins and outs and what's kind of going down. So, but again, I appreciate you guys for watching this one. It's the series again. I said pure just me talking, unedited, no cuts, boom, post to YouTube type of thing. And I'm, glad that you guys liked the first one, first two, and I hope you guys like this one. I appreciate you guys all for watching, supporting, showing love, dropping really positive comments. It's some of my favorite thing to see your guys' comments. So I appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys next week or in my coming up videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Stay tuned. I will catch you guys going forward. I love you guys all, and I hope you guys all have a good week. Cheers.